Hey guys, come on everybody, come on in. Damn, my lips are chapped, y'all. Okay, we got a guest coming on tonight, y'all. Totally forgot to tell y'all. I've been in another land lately, I guess. My son and my husband are popping fireworks outside. Okay, so Jessica's going to come share her story tonight. I'm going to give a chance for people to come in before I bring her on. So just hang out. Hey, Jessica. Hey, girl. What's up, Katie? Um, y'all come on in if you don't mind. Share the video, like the video, and you can get some people in here before we get Jessica up on here. Okay? She's probably freaking out because I'm denying her request right now. So also go ahead and lock this video up. Lock it up, motherfuckers. Give us some likes because we got a story time coming on tonight. Story time, story time, story time. Damn, my lips are chapped. Okay. I'm trying to think. Maybe I should do this from my other account because this account has been like not doing very well when I go live. Hold on. Okay. Sorry about that. Hey, everybody. What's up, everybody? Come on in. Please help me share the video so that way there'll be plenty of people in here when Jessica gets here. Let me see if she's live right now. Okay, she's live. Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and bring her on. Okay. Hey, everybody. We got a guest speaker coming on tonight. So, yay. Come on in. Jessica's going to share her story. She's got 8 months sober, and her drug of choice is cocaine and alcohol. And so she's going to come share her story, her experience, strength, and hope. So you guys help me share this video so that way other people will know that we're live and they can come hear her story. You dig? Okay. Sorry, I was reading something. Come on in, y'all. Come on in. Your first cup of coffee? Hey, Jessica. Jessica, I'm building up the live, so go live on your account in like 6 minutes, okay? And then I'll send you the invite, all right? I'm just trying to make sure that people get in here before I bring you on, so that way they don't miss the beginning of your story, okay? So go live in like 6 minutes over on your account, and I'll send you the invite. I was just wanting to get the audience built up, so that way when you came on, nobody would miss your story, okay? I wasn't trying to ignore you on purpose or anything like that. Oh, you live in, where do you live, Doug? Where do you live? Where do you live? Come on in, everybody. Oh, y'all do me a solid. Share the video. I'm going to share it too. Let's share this video to everybody we can share it to, so that way Jessica has a huge audience to tell her story to, okay? We're going to put the pressure on you, Jessica. You better perform because we perform under pressure over here, right, guys? We perform better under pressure over here. So let's do this, you guys. Let's invite as many people as we can, okay? I'm doing it, so y'all do it too. Let's do it together. So for those of you guys that don't know, my name is Nicole Pludre, okay? I'm a recovering drug addict. I've been sober since July 13th of 2015. I started my social media journey in 2016 and started sharing my experience, strength, and hope online, and have built a pretty big following in the last 2 or 3 years, really. And so now what I like to do is I like to have other people on my channel and on my account to share their experience, strength, and hope to help them, build their accounts and stuff, and to get their name and their message out there. So if you're somebody who watches my account and you're like, ugh, I'd never be able to tell my story, she'd never invite me to tell my story, or she's got too many followers, she's probably stuck up. Live from the pit of hell, honey. Anybody can come on my account and share their story. It doesn't matter if you've been sober for 1 day or 25 years. Okay? I think everybody has a story to tell that's unique and can help somebody out there. So, yeah, that's what we're about over here. We're about helping everybody. I really want to get into like helping people in the recovery community learn how to monetize their content here on TikTok and on other social media accounts. So I made a couple of videos today teaching you guys about Instagram and Facebook. Hey, what's up? I'm glad you found me too. Hey, Micah. And I'm just sharing this video, you guys, while I'm talking to y'all, okay? And in just a second, we're going to get Jessica on, okay? But a lot of people have been finding me on Facebook because I've been posting reels over there, you guys. And I'm telling you what, them reels, they go viral over there on Facebook. Hey, Tara. Nice to meet you, girl. Nice to meet you. Hey, what's up? JK, I want to call you Jill Kirkpatrick for some reason, but I don't think that's what your name is. Okay, it's okay, Doug. It's okay. I guess I'll let you slide this week. Let's see. We send this out to these people. Pow, 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 pow. Okay, let me see if Jessica's ready now. Okay, Jessica, whenever you're ready, girl, I'm ready for you. Okay? Okay. So, my Facebook is Nicole or Nikki Pludre, but you can just type in Discovering Nicole P and it'll come up. Discovering Nicole P. It'll come right up. I posted this one girl's story. Her name's Courtney, and her fucking video literally got like 1 million views. It was crazy. But you got to be careful on Facebook because they're like weird on Facebook. Like they'll take your stuff down in a minute, dude. It sucks kind of. Hey, Jenna, what are you doing, baby? My dog's in here. Okay, here we go. Let me see if she's on, if she's ready now. Whenever you're ready, girl, we're ready for you. We got Jessica. Hey, baby. Do you want to come up here? Come on. You're scared of the fireworks, aren't you? Come on. Come on. Oh, shit. Come up here. Lay down. Lay down right there. Lay down. Okay. Sorry about that. Hey, girl. What's up? We get Jessica's coming on to share her story tonight. So we're just waiting for her to be ready, and then we're going to go hear her story. Hey, what's up, Danny's girl? How you doing, babe? It's okay. It's just the fireworks, babe. It's just my husband and my son doing fireworks, y'all. Lay down. Good girl. We got a guest speaker coming on tonight. Whoop, whoop. I haven't had a guest speaker on in a while. I've been trying to post, some good posts and stuff for you guys. I did make a video earlier. We'll talk about that after Jessica's story because I don't want to taint her story time. But, man, I'm telling you what, there's this girl on here, y'all, who's talking about, like, people giving her crumbs for donations. Okay, girl, I'm ready when you are. And it made me just so upset. Let me just tell you guys something. Like, part of recovery is growing and working your ass off to get what you have. Part of recovery that's a humbling experience to struggle. And then you learn from that struggle. You know, so part of it is coming from the depths of hell, right? And coming up on and making a way for yourself, right? And that's part of recovery. It makes me so mad when I see people like her. I follow her, and I've been watching her for a while. It's been really disappointing, but it's almost like you can't sit there and complain. You're like an able-bodied person. Like not having a leg, being an amputee, y'all, that has nothing to do with her being able to work. And tell me if I'm wrong. Didn't she get her leg amputated because of addiction? Or am I wrong? I don't know. It's like, you can't use that as an excuse, you know? Hey, JPZ, where you been? I hadn't seen you in a while. I got Jetta in here. She got scared. Okay. Check and make sure she didn't peep on the floor in there. Okay, good. All right, y'all. Here comes Jessica. She's nervous, though, okay? So y'all cheer for her. I know, right? I'm grateful for $2 if people send it to me. Also, right if you want to subscribe to my subscriptions, you can click that gold star, and we're going to use the money to help somebody that's getting out of treatment. What's up, Jessica?
Hey there, pretty lady. How are you?
I'm good. You look great. Are you nervous?
Just a tad bit.
Okay, don't be nervous. This will be cool. It's really easy. We have a good time over here. Okay, so here's the plan, all right? What I would like for you to do is I would like for you to tell us what it was like before you started using drugs, like when you were a kid, what your childhood was like, how you got onto drugs, like was it because you were dating a guy? Were you at high school and somebody handed it to you? Like what happened? What made you go into that lifestyle? What it was like during that time, and then how you got sober and what your life is like now. And you can take as short or as long as you want to. And if I have any questions, I usually just like butt in or like say, hey, I gotta ask you a question. But you have the floor, like you get to talk, and if I need to ask you anything, I will.
Okay, well, thank you. Um, okay, so I was actually highly against drugs for a very long time. Um, when it came to marijuana, I was like, oh, if you smoke weed, you're a scumbag. Um, I was very judgmental. And I don't know if that stemmed from high school because back in high school, I was almost 300 pounds. I had black hair and I was full of acne. I got picked on more than you could imagine. Or maybe you lived that life. Who knows? But I had a very strong opinion of if you even smoked weed, you weren't the type of people for me. It wasn't up until 2014. I was a late bloomer. 2014, I was 24 years old, and I was hit twice by a semi truck. And it was one accident. The semi truck rear ended the ass end of my car and spun my ass end this way, and the front end of my car went in front of his front end. And then he slammed me again and then threw me back. And at that point, when they say your life flashes before your eyes, that is something I can't even begin to explain to you, even if I wanted to, because that day my life did flash before my eyes, and what I seen, I just wasn't happy with. Um, and all throughout high school, with me being bigger, all I wanted was to be the pretty popular girl, like that all the guys wanted. I
I
wanted the
know how you
friends,
feel. Let me ask you
like
this. When you were growing up, like tell me about your mom and dad. Like I'm not trying to be funny, but like for me, the reason why I got overweight when I was a young girl was because my dad's Italian and he used to make us sit at the table until we finished all of our food, even the vegetables, and everything that we did was like centered around food, celebrations, all that kind of stuff, you know? And I started gaining weight because, well, I was insecure. I didn't feel good enough. And then, my dad was always working out and telling us like, if you're fat, you're not going to be able to find a husband. And I was young, like I was probably 10 and he was saying this kind of stuff to us. And he's a great dad. He didn't mean it in a bad way, but how did you get to that point where you gained so much weight? What happened?
I actually don't even know. I know when I was 8 years old, and I only know this because, I mean, now don't get me wrong, my sister and I, she's my best friend today. But back in the day, you know how siblings fight? She would always be like, oh, 108 at 8, because that's how much I weighed at 8 years old. But like you said with your father, when it came to dinner time, we did sit at the table until we finished our plates. Often we had a dog, so I would slip, the Salisbury steak underneath the table, and because I would
Yeah.
never eat that. But I would slip the Salisbury steak underneath the table, but it wasn't even that. It was more so what I did at night after everybody went to sleep, because that's when I would take junk food up to my bedroom without my parents knowing.
Yeah.
Because you can only have so much being a kid. I wanted more. And maybe that's, you could tell with my alcoholism and my addiction, I always wanted more. And it
Yep.
even works with shopping and food and sex and everything else. I'm never satisfied. So even when I was a kid, I would sneak food upstairs and hide it underneath my bed, and I would eat a whole bag of chips in one night, you know. So eventually, I did get up to almost 300 pounds. And after my car accident, when I said my life flashed, like my life honestly flashed. And with that, I started like, well, after the physical therapy and everything, because I was injured. After all that was over and done with, I started working out and I lost the weight without any drugs.
That's
Okay, the drugs
awesome.
came after. The drugs came after. I started running around the cemetery. It was a street over from my house at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would be going to the gym 2, 3 times a day. I stopped drinking soda, donuts, ice cream, everything. And then slowly, like after I lost all the weight, I noticed that, oh, hey, people want to hang out with me. I'm making friends. And now I'm getting invited to parties. And that's where my alcoholism came in. Because I was never really a big drinker per se. Although I do remember when I first started drinking, I would take my parents' bottles, and Bailey's was always the specific. I would actually take my parents' bottles, and I'm actually sitting in my childhood bedroom right now,
Oh,
which is
really?
now my nephew. Yes, I'm at my parents' house, and I'm sitting in my nephew's bedroom, which used to be mine. So back in the day, my bed was right here, and I would be stashing junk food underneath, you know. Um, but the Baileys came in, and I was hiding that underneath my bed next. And once I would finish off that bottle, I would fill it back up with water and super glue the lid. My parents aren't really my parents aren't really big drinkers, you know.
Yeah.
So their bottles will sit and sit. And honestly, they probably still have some bottles with water in it
Mhm.
because they never drink it, you know. Um, but after going to all these parties, here comes cocaine. And cocaine wasn't enough, then comes meth. And honestly, my drug of choice would be cocaine, meth, and alcohol.
Mhm.
Those three. Not precisely in that order, but it's definitely my top three.
Yeah.
I will say I've done pretty much everything under the book. It would be easier for me to give you a list of things I have not done. Um, Partying constantly, it took me to, okay, let me stand corrected. I had a great time when I was partying.
Yeah, me too.
A lot of people, yes, a lot of people I feel like only talk about the bad. But I'm going to be real with you. In the beginning, I had a great time. And my nickname was always Red because of the color of my hair. So Red's in the house, you know, and I was the life of the party. And I will own up to that. But it wasn't always good. Towards the end, it got really bad. Um, I remember losing my car numerous times, not knowing where it was at, my DUI, just getting arrested for dumb shit that I don't even remember I got arrested for. You know,
Yeah.
having my parents having my parents pick me up from the jail and then joking about it as we're walking out, saying, "Okay, time for another ride," you know. And I just remember that look that my mom gave me that day, like, "Don't even start," you know. She was not happy with me. She wasn't happy at all, and I can't blame her. But it wasn't up until I want to say the last 2 years of my addiction that I really spiraled out of control because at that point I was letting anybody in my house. I was in charge of the house parties, you know, turn up on a Tuesday, that was my place. And we would be drinking, smoking, whatever, until 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. At this point, I had 3 jobs, and my one job was down at the gym. I was working overnight from 11 to 7 a.m., and I would let people party in my house while I was at work. And between the hours of 4 and 6, nobody would ever be at the gym. It was just me there. So I would jump in the car and run home, do a couple lines of whatever anybody had,
Yeah.
and I would go back to work. You know, I actually got fired from that job because I was caught. Well, literally, if you could think of it, I did it at that job, but I was caught
Because you were
drinking.
unsupervised and you could probably get away with like bringing fucking people in there and fucking getting fucked up in there. I could just imagine I'd be doing all kinds of crazy shit up in there if I wasn't fucking supervised.
If, honestly, if you can think about it, I did it. And I'm not proud of it, but I've done some stuff that I won't even say because it's
Did you ever
dirty. And
do it with somebody in the gym? Yeah.
I'm on the district manager's desk twice.
Figured.
Twice. Yeah. They didn't find out about that one. And they're not going to. But I have made my amends since then because
Yeah.
when they fired me, I was, of course, messed up. And I made a scene in the gym with the manager, and I have since made amends. And I'm allowed back in that gym again. So that's
That's
definitely
awesome.
improvement.
That's cool. When
Yes.
you made your amends, because the way my sponsor told me, she's like, listen, if it's something that can like get you arrested, like we'll just make a living amends. Like I don't want to send you back there and you go tell them and then they put you in prison or something like that. What was it like? Hey, shut my door if y'all are gonna be loud. Sorry. What did you do? Did you walk up to him and be like, hey, how did you do it? Tell us about that.
Well, at this point, I wasn't supposed to be making amends because I was maybe a month out of rehab and I thought I knew it all, you know? Okay, well, at this point, I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to apologize to anybody I hurt and then I'm going to get the steps done." I didn't want to do them. I wasn't going to do the fourth step. I wasn't making a gratitude list. I was just going to apologize and move on. And, so I wasn't technically supposed to make my amends at that point because I didn't know how to make amends.
Right.
The way I made amends was I didn't complain about anything I did. The only thing I said to the manager was, pretty much, I apologize for my behavior. I am a changed person. I told her I am in sobriety, and we had a short conversation after that. But it was very, it's okay, this and that. She reopened my account, and I said, listen, you're not going to have that type of behavior from me again. And she said, well, I'll allow you back in the gym, but you'll never have your job back here.
Yeah.
And I told her, I was like, I don't expect it back, I did not expect it back at all. But it was that felt good at the time. But honestly, I wish I would have waited because I did do it wrong. But now that it's already said and done, there's no sense for me to go back and
Yeah.
reopen a dead issue.
Yeah.
You
I know
know
what
what
you
I'm
mean.
saying? But yeah, towards the end, I'm sorry. Give me one second.
No, you're okay. A lot of people that get sober and they get excited and they want to go make it right with everyone. You know what I mean? Like right away. And that's how I did that several times. Each time I would get sober, I would do that. Except for this last time, um, I did everything that my sponsor told me to do the way she told me to do it because I was like, man, all these times I try to get sober and I'll get like 6 months sober, 9 months sober, and then I would get high. And I was like, obviously, I need to do it the way it's supposed to be done because I keep fucking my shit up. You know what I mean? And so, like, I waited, and it was really hard for me to wait, like, waiting to, like, show my mom and dad that I was changed because they had heard me say I'm sorry so many times that if I had went to them and said that, it would have been like this 1 year in, 1 year and out the other, because what I would say had no meaning to it. It had no weight to it because I would just say shit and it was just
It was just
lies, you
another
know?
word. Mhm. It
Yeah.
was just another word. It had no genuine, you know, and that's my parents. I've said I'm sorry so many times, and I feel like I'm just now starting to build that trust up. But even so, I'm sure there's still some type of doubt. Whenever something goes wrong, my mom will be like, "No, Jess, tell me you didn't." It's always like her first jump,
Yeah.
and I can't even be upset over that because I'm the one that made her feel that way. I gave her a reason to feel that way. I've came into the program during COVID. And I don't want to say I came into the program. I went into rehab a couple days after Memorial Day. So I believe it was June 1st. Yes, it was June 1st. And that would have been my sobriety date, but I did relapse a couple times since.
Mm-hmm.
What took me into rehab was I went to a pyramid and my buddy passed away a couple days before I ended up going to rehab. He passed away on Memorial Day. And on that day, I was having a party at my house. And I had a bunch of people inside that I didn't know. And we were, crushing other stuff up and having a good old time. Well, my buddy came over and I ran outside and I was talking to him while he was in the car. And he was like, I just need to talk to you. Like, is it okay? You want to go for a ride? And I told him that I couldn't because I had people inside my apartment. But if he wanted to come in, he was more than welcome. And he chose not to. And I was like, listen, you come over tomorrow, we could talk. I'll make time. We could do whatever you want to do. And before he left, he asked me, he picked up a little bag. And he said, you want to break up a line before you go back in? And I had a bunch of ratchet ass people in my apartment. So I told him, I was like, save it for tomorrow. We could party then. I wake up the next day and that bag of Coke had fentanyl in it and he passed away. So
Sorry.
after after I found out about that, I kind of had like that survivor's guilt because I felt like I was supposed to do a line out of that. And
Yep.
maybe if I would have done some, he wouldn't have done as much. And maybe we both would have lived. But then again, what if we both would have died? So with that survivor's guilt, I fell pretty hard. And I was the week after he passed away, I don't remember a single thing. The only thing I remember is my dad decided to pop in randomly. And I think it was for an air conditioner. But he randomly showed up at my apartment and I was already effed up. And at this point, I'm trying to act like I'm sober. And he was just coming over to help me put in an air conditioner because I couldn't do it. But when he came over, he was like, Jess, I really wish you would stop drinking so much. Because my parents only thought I drank a lot. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't know about the drugs thing until after I got out of rehab. And my mom is still finding some, or my parents are still finding some stuff out still to this day. But when he came over and he said that, apparently I lashed out in his face. I told him that I wish he was dead. I kicked him out of my apartment and I spit at him as he was walking to the car. And while he was walking out to the car, I guess I was screaming, I hate you, I wish you'd die. And I still don't forgive myself for that. But
Yeah.
my dad forgives me for that. But my dad, I will say, is the number one person anybody could count on. Um, like I said, like for instance, that air conditioner, I didn't ask him to come over. He knew my apartment was hot. It was a very hot day and he had some time, so he decided to come over and help me. You don't even have to ask this man for help. If he knows you need help, he's just going to jump right in. And I have nothing but good to say about that man.
That's
He's
how
always
dads
been
are.
there.
Or I mean, that's
Yeah,
how good dads are. You know what I mean?
yeah.
They always make sure that their daughters are taken care of. My dad's the same way. Like I can go over to their house and my dad, I won't even say anything, and he'll be outside checking my oil, making sure the tires on my car have enough air, and I'm just, oh, no matter what.
I can't tell you how many times I would walk outside and I'd see my dad walking around my car and just looking at it.
Yeah, that's
Like
great.
that's
You have a good
and
family then. You have a solid support network. You're very fortunate.
yes, I am. I'm very, very grateful because a lot of people I know today they don't have that mother and father figure together at least. My parents have been married for going on 32 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they were together for 9 years before they got married. So they've been together for quite some time. And my dad, he shows the prime example of how a woman should be treated because he truly does love my mom. And he would do anything for this family. So a lot of times I hear how the drug and alcohol addiction will come from within the family, but I didn't have that. You know, sure, my parents drank once in a great moon, but it was nothing like me.
It sounds
So
like
I don't know.
you were born with the disease of addiction because you had the overeating when you were young, and so that's a form of addiction, um,
I have shopping now.
overeating. And so, I was the same way because when I was a little girl, everything was extremes. So if I would eat to the extreme, I would, you know, I don't know what, exercise to the extreme. When I tried out for the cheer squad, like I stayed up for like 9 hours every night, practicing the
Yep.
dance. So that way I made sure I made the team. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep. Go big or go home.
right, right.
And I feel like even still to this day, I replaced one addiction with another because now I can't stop buying stuff online.
Yep.
And I've gotten better with it. I have, but I'm still pretty bad. I'm still spending a lot of money. But that day, when my dad came over, he ended up leaving. And I didn't know about this until after I got out of rehab. But I guess my mom said how he came home and he just started crying and saying how this isn't the daughter or this isn't the daughter that he knows. And I wasn't. I'm not that person. I'm becoming the person that I'm supposed to be. And the ninth step promises, I always thought that, yeah, okay, that's not going to happen for me. But it was that week that after my buddy passed away, that's when everything spiraled. And that's when what happened with my dad happened. That very next day was my buddy's viewing. And I went to his viewing drunk. I took shots before I went inside. I took shots after I came out. I hugged his mom. I was talking to his mom. I'm sure she could smell it. She's not stupid. Um, and then afterwards, I drove up to Scranton, and my sister lives there. It's about a half hour away from where I'm at. And I was planning on staying the night over at my sister's house. Well, it was kind of like an intervention. And we all got pretty drunk that night. But my sister, she was still in control. My sister doesn't really get drunk because she has two kids to watch. So I was chaotic and she was the adult. Um, that night, she pretty much gave me the ultimatum that if I do not go off to rehab that very next day, then I will no longer see my nephews. And I'm single. I don't have any kids of my own. My nephews, I would do absolutely anything for. I treat them like my own because they don't have any. And I would literally do anything for them. They are currently 7 and 9 years old. When I went off to rehab, they were, what, 6 and 8? No, 5 and 7. 5 and 7. And they were too young to understand. So when I went off, they wondered where Aunt Jess went. And we told the boys that I was fighting COVID. I went to China to fight COVID. And I am their hero because I went off to go fight COVID. And so when I got back out and we still had to wear masks, I had some explaining to do because how come we didn't fight COVID?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's where they think I was. And for the first 2 weeks when I was in rehab, I honestly was just doing it to make my sister happy. I fought and I fought. My sister is the one that did all the phone calls. She set up the ride so that way they would pick me up for the rehab. She set up the detox. I did absolutely none of it because I said, okay, well, if I go, you're doing it, you know. And she did it. And that very next day, I tried fighting it off. I was like, I'm not going. I'm not going. Well, here they are pulling into my parking lot. And before I left, I'm like, hold on, let me take one last drink, you know. I did a couple lines. I had probably about 10 to 12 shots between tequila and whiskey. I was literally drinking whatever I could put my hands on. I was putting whatever I could up my nose. I didn't care. And I remember getting into the car, and I really didn't think my dad was going to show up. And before I went off to rehab, everybody showed up except for my dad. And I remember seeing both my sisters, and my mom was there. And I don't remember if my nephews were there, but I said to my one sister, I said, where's dad? And nobody, you know. And I started crying. I said, I should have known, you
He
know.
probably didn't want to come because he didn't want to see you like that. You know what I'm saying? Like
He
for,
came.
oh, he did? He showed up at the
He
last
came.
minute? Oh, thank
I don't,
goodness.
I don't, I don't think he was going to, but I think he decided to last minute because as I was taking everything outside to load up the car, my dad showed up and I just started bawling, you know. And I went up to him and I gave him a hug and I said, I am so sorry, you know, because I am. And still to this day, I am so sorry, you know. It bothers me. And that is my one regret. I wish I never treated my dad like that
Yeah.
because he loves me. And they say, like, you hurt the people you love the most because I knew I could get away with it. I knew he was going to love me regardless. So I hurt the people that I love the most. But the first 2 weeks of rehab, I was literally just there just to be there. And it wasn't until about the first 2 weeks that I realized, oh, hey, maybe I do have a problem. Listening to everybody else share, I tried fighting, I tried leaving AMA numerous times. The counselor there, honestly, I don't even remember her name, but I'm there because of her at that point, because she really went out of her way to keep me there. And I had a little stash. So when I got out of
Ooh, you
rehab,
brought it into treatment with you?
no.
Oh, okay.
I,
I was like,
I did talk
damn.
about that though. I was like, well, I could have snuck some in, you know.
Yeah.
But no, they thoroughly checked you. And but I had a stash in my shed, so that way when I got back out of rehab, party on, you know. I had
Uh-huh.
those reservations. I did not want to get sober. I did not plan on staying sober. And now I can't imagine not being sober.
What did
I've
you do with
relapsed
that
quite a
stash?
few
Hold on a
times.
second. Did you go get the stash when you got out, or did you have somebody else get it for you so that way you wouldn't relapse?
I'm sorry.
Did you go and get the stash out when you got out, or did you have somebody get it for you so you wouldn't relapse?
Somebody ended up tossing it all out into the dumpster for me.
Oh, good. Okay.
So, yes, I made that phone call and I was like, hey, listen, you're not going to like what you see, but I'm going to need you to get rid of that for me, you know?
Right.
And I did relapse a couple times after I got out of rehab. And so I should be going on about 2 years now, but I actually just hit 8 months on the 29th. So
That's
2 days
that's
ago.
a lot of time, girl.
So
8 months is a good amount of
it's actually
time.
the longest I've had.
Yeah.
So it seems like every time I were to hit 6 or 7 months, I would always end up going back out.
Yeah.
And this last relapse, I ended up going back out. It was October 29th, and it was 2 days after my grandmother passed away. and my grandfather left us 7 days before my grandmother did.
Oh
So
shit!
I lost both of my yeah, I lost
In
both of
one
my
week, you
grandparents
lost them
within a
both in
week.
1 week.
Yep.
Damn,
My grandfather left us first, and
damn.
yeah, my grandfather left us first, and then 7 days after my grandmother passed, and they said that my grandmother passed from a broken heart syndrome. They were together since high school, never left each other's side. But I ended up relapsing 2 days after my gram. I don't handle death very well, and I was close with my grandparents, and I still have that regret because I thought about them all the time, and I only lived like 10 minutes away from them, if that. And I thought about them, and I'd be like, well, maybe I'll stop in and I'll see Grandma and Poppy. But with me, I'm always working two, three jobs. It's hard to find time. And I would be like, well, tomorrow, another day.
Yeah,
Another day never came. And I just wish I would have went to go see them when I thought about them, because you always think you have another day. You always think you have more time until you don't anymore. And I learned the hard way. And I ended up just, whenever I go for long drives by myself, it's probably not a good sign because that's whenever I end up relapsing. I wanted to just go for a long drive. I just wanted to get out of my head. I found myself in Dixon City at the mall. And before I know it, I'm sitting in Applebee's having a $5 special Long Island iced tea. And
mm-hmm.
then I drive to Music, and then I find myself a wine and spirits, and then I get myself two Fireball shots. And
Right.
I'm like, well, I only need two shots. That's it. That's all I'm drinking. And then I'm thinking, well, wine and spirits is going to be closed by the time I get back down to Kingston. So I should probably go back in and grab more, because that's how I think. So I went back inside and I grabbed myself a 10-pack after I drank those two. And by the time I got home, that 10-pack was gone. So I didn't even have alcohol to drink by the time I got back home. I don't remember driving home at all. And I really don't remember too much of that. Oh, you know what? That's when I showed up to my job drunk. I showed up to my job because I was working with a bunch of sober people. And that's where I felt safest, at the time. And I showed up, and I guess they could obviously tell that I was messed up. And they took me into the office. My manager made me a grilled cheese sandwich because, I didn't eat anything. I was only full on alcohol. And she had me sitting in the office for about 2 hours, give or take. And then my coworker ended up coming to pick me up, and we went back to my place so I could get changed. She was taking me back to her place. But we went back to my place because I was dressed all up in leather and I did not want to go to sleep in that. So we went to my place. I got changed, but before I went to go get changed, she was like, let's dump some of the shots, or let's dump the shots down the sink.
Yeah.
Well, I went to go grab whatever shots I had hidden in my closet because I had a little stash. And at this point, I went into the closet to go hand her the shots, and I tucked some shots in my sideline.
Uh-huh.
And so when I went to go get changed, I had two shots in my pants, and she dumped the rest, and I chugged those two in my bedroom. She is now my sponsor, and when I relapsed, my previous sponsor actually dropped me, and I feel like I may have a little bit of a resentment
I
over
hate
that.
that. Why would they do that? Why do sponsors do that? Like, I honestly don't think that's right. Like, you don't drop
No,
somebody when they're struggling the most. You should be there for them even more. Maybe
and
she
that's when
thought that she wasn't doing a good job. Maybe she blamed herself for your relapse or something.
I doubt it, and honestly, it wasn't her fault. But you're right. Like that is when I needed her the most. Not good.
I got a bad taste in my mouth. Yeah.
But honest, I'm so grateful for the sponsor that I have now. because even
Who's
though
your
I did
sponsor
have a good
now? Is Barbie's your sponsor?
what
Is Barbie your sponsor?
Barbie? Oh no. Barbie's a good friend of mine.
Okay. She said you
My
were her
sponsor.
girl. Are y'all? I thought y'all were girlfriends.
She's my girl.
But
Who knows what it
but
is?
not
She's a
girlfriend.
great person.
She's not your she's not your significant other. Y'all are just girls, as in girlfriends, as in friends.
Oh yeah, no, she's my girl. We're not.
Okay.
We're
I
not
don't know why
together.
I went there. I thought lesbian couple for some reason. I don't know why.
I I do like women,
Oh, well,
so
there you go. Maybe that's why. Maybe I sensed it from you or something.
yeah, I do like women. So maybe I don't know, but you're not the first person to say that because I had somebody comment on a picture that I posted of us two when we went to go get our nails done. And I didn't even reply back to the comment because I just chuckled at it and I'm just like, I'm gonna leave it alone. But she goes saying, "Oh, you two look so happy together." And I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. Yeah. But hey, Barbie, I hope you're watching. We're talking about you.
She said she had to go to tell her story at a meeting tonight, but she wanted to watch
Yes.
it. So I told her I'm gonna
Yes.
so here's what I'll do. I'll upload it on YouTube and I'll share it all around Facebook, and then it'll go on Facebook, YouTube, and my Instagram. So you'll be up there forever.
I'll have to be sure to add you on Facebook. I don't think I have you on Facebook.
Yeah, I have a page. It's Discovering Nicole, and then I have my personal profile, and it's just Nikki Pludre. But just look up Discovering Nicole. That's the easiest way. But keep on going. I don't Tell us more. So your
Yeah, I'm
sponsor
sure
had
I'll find
blocked
it.
you after you relapsed, and you got a new sponsor. So keep going.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna resituate myself
No,
here.
you're fine.
So my previous sponsor dropped me, and so my current sponsor's name is Ashley, and I do plan on staying with her for a while. She's been a great help when it comes to not only my sobriety but also just day to day life.
Yeah.
I have a great support group. I have an AA mom, and I really am grateful for the people that I have in my life today because I wouldn't be able to stay sober if it weren't for them. This last relapse wasn't even okay, so it wasn't even my rock bottom.
What was your
This
rock
last
bottom?
relapse, um, my rock bottom was. I feel like my last relapse was more of a. I was just so overwhelmed with all the death at once, and then after I lost both my grandparents, I lost my uncle 21 days after my grandmother.
Oh
So
wow,
I
girl,
didn't.
that's crazy.
It's been one hell of a year, let me tell you that.
Yeah, that's a
A
lot
lot
of
of death,
death, man.
in a short month. But what is it? Yeah, so I don't feel like my last relapse was rock. It definitely wasn't rock bottom. That was, I feel like, because I just didn't know how to handle my emotions, and I turned to alcohol because anything is better than feeling. But today, I can't tell you how many times I'm up all night sitting on my kitchen counter crying, listening to sad songs, just grieving because that's all I know how to do. And I don't allow myself to cry in front of people. I really try not to. And I don't know if it's because for so long I was always told, oh, if you're crying, you're weak. You're only weak if you cry. And I was in a really toxic relationship, mentally, verbally, physically abusive. You could think of it. He did it. And that is when I hit my rock bottom. That relapse, I don't even remember how it started. All I know is that we were fighting so bad and I didn't want to take it anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. And all I remember was drinking. And that entire night is completely blacked out. I landed myself in the crisis unit for 2 days because he blindsided me and punched me in the face, knocked me out unconscious. He actually called the I like women, but this is in the past, okay? I
Yeah.
would never be with a man again. So as I say it's a biggest regret of my life. And he actually called 911
What's
because
wrong,
he thought
Nate?
he killed me.
Oh, sorry about that. My son.
And
Sorry.
he's the one that called 911 because as he left my apartment, he left me there to stay in a puddle of blood. And, well, what they thought was blood. I don't know if it was blood or if it was hair dye, but I was told it was blood. I was told it was hair dye, so it could be a mixture of both. He ended up calling 911 because he thought he killed me. And then he was gone by time EMS and the cops and everybody got there. So the cops ended up finding me on my kitchen floor. My sister, he confessed to my sister saying how he hit me, which I don't know why he would do that. Like, why would you confess to my sister and then be like, "Oh no, I saved your life"? Because that he tried pulling that. You should be grateful for me. I saved your life. I'm the one that called. Not you're the one that caused it. You know.
Yeah.
But at that point, looking at myself in the mirror, after getting out of the crisis unit, now I was in the hospital for 2 days. I don't know what happened with that. I knew my mom was upset with me. My sister was mad at me because I guess I was driving drunk and I was on Xanax. And I guess my sister said, "Pull over, you're going to end up killing somebody." And I said, "I don't give a F if I kill anybody. I don't care. I just want to die." And so I had a couple of people upset with me when I got out of the crisis unit. They tried locking me up in First Hospital. They wanted to do an evaluation on me while I was still a little loopy. That day, I ended up, when I became back conscious again, I got out of the handcuff because I was strapped by all fours to the hospital bed. I got out of the one handcuff and I actually hit a nurse. And I did go back to the hospital after a couple days of me healing. And I went back and I asked for the nurse that was on that specific night. And nobody was there that was there at that evening. So I relayed a message and just apologizing. And listen, I do apologize. It wasn't me. But I ended up getting out and I had no idea where my purse was. I had no phone. I had no nothing. I had no money. The hospital actually provided a ride so that way I could be driven home by a taxi. And the entire way home, I didn't even know where I was. The world outside of me was just, it wasn't there. Everything was spinning. It didn't feel real, you know? And I remember walking into my apartment, and I lived up on the third floor at this time. So I had a total of 36 steps to go up just to get to my door.
Damn, that's a lot of steps.
You can imagine doing groceries or laundry.
Fuck that.
Yes, but I would take back that apartment any day over the one I'm in now. The one I'm in now is actually because I practically ran from that guy because he knew where I lived. So I took the first apartment that was available, and it is embarrassing. I won't let anybody come over. You know, it's not nice. But
I bet you make it look nice, though. I've lived in some pretty foul-ass places. I lived in this one place. It was a one-bedroom efficiency. And when I tell you, like, the roaches had roaches. We had a used mattress that somebody else that lived there used before us. I mean, there was blood on it, piss on, who knows what else. And girl, I lived there for like 6 months. So don't feel bad.
Okay,
I bet you
so
it's
you
fine.
know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Honestly,
you can always spruce it up a little bit and decorate it to make it more cheerful.
See, I can't even decorate it because it's like the wood paneling.
Oh, okay. We used to have paneling in our old house.
It's like the 70s wood paneling.
Yeah.
It's so ugly.
Look at this couch I'm sitting on, girl. This is from the 70s. It's like booger green.
Listen, a couch cover, easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
But at least, you know what? You had to get away from that dude, so I understand why you left. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to get somewhere where you could be safe.
Ultimately, I took the first apartment that became available, and it wasn't up until a couple months ago that my PFA finally went through because he was hiding, and I'm actually the one that found him. The sheriffs did not do anything. My PFA was going on for over a year, and the sheriffs kept on saying they couldn't find him. I'm the one that found him. I'm the one that got the PFA. And it wasn't up until maybe 3 months ago that it actually got accepted. So now I
Wow.
have a
You know,
3 year
that's why
PFA
so many
against him.
women die from being abused because the police don't do shit about it.
No,
You
they
know,
don't.
it's bullshit.
They did not do anything. They
Yep.
made one phone call, nobody answered, and they gave up. And it was just be continued. I was going to the courthouse once a month, every single month for a year,
Right.
in hopes that he would show up, and every single time was he hasn't been served. Well,
Damn.
at that point, yeah. So then I unblocked him on Instagram because he was trying to follow me.
Mm-hmm.
So I blocked him, and at that point, I unblocked him, and I was like, okay, well, if I call, I know he'll answer.
Right.
So if I were to call, you take over, and that's what he did. So I called, and he answered the phone, and as soon as he answered, the sheriff goes saying, "Hi, is this such and such?" And he confirmed, and then after that, he was like, "Oh, well, this is sheriff, whatever." And just so you know, you do have a PFA court hearing next month on the 26th. So at that point, then he started calling me a bunch of names. Oh, she's an effing whore. This in front of the sheriff while he was on
Damn.
the phone with him. The judge was still sitting in the room with the other sheriffs. He was on speakerphone. Everybody heard everything, and he did not care. Um, but that was my rock bottom because after I came back home, I remember walking in and my apartment was
Like,
trash. And my purse was my purse and everything was still on the kitchen counter. Oh,
I'm
and
trying
then
to cut her nails while I talk to you and trying to get her to calm down because they're curling
she's
and
like,
that's how
"No,
long they
Mom."
are.
She's like, "Mom, leave me alone."
She's old. She has diabetes. She has diabetes and she's blonde.
Aren't you beautiful
Her name's
though?
Jetta. Say hi to everybody. To say,
Hi,
Mona,
Jenna.
say she won't let me cut her nails, so I'm trying to do it while she was sleeping, and she figured out that I was doing it.
I take advantage of the nap time my
Yeah,
boys give me, so
that's what I was trying to
that,
do because I knew that I could keep. You were talking. She will be distracted, but then she woke up, little sucker, because I feel like I'm doing dog abuse because it's her one of her toenails is literally curling.
oh no,
I
how do
have
you
this
cut
thing.
that?
I have this thing that has the guard on it,
I
so I
have
don't
that
cut her
too.
too close. But she still acts like it hurts, and I know it doesn't.
I have that same thing, but even though they make it seem like it hurts, you still jump back like.
Yeah,
But honestly, I think it's more the thought that scares them.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. I'll wait till she falls asleep again and get a couple more. I got two of them, so that's good.
Okay, so hopefully you'll get another two in about
Yeah,
5 minutes. I give you 5 minutes.
you're
I
doing
forget
really
where I
good
left off.
too. Just so you know, like you're doing really good. I'm glad that you are, feel comfortable and everything to share. I'm really emotional like you are. You seem like you're holding back a little bit of your emotions and stuff when you talk about your dad, especially. And I'll tell you this, like, and I know you said you don't like to cry, you know, and but I'm telling you, like, you don't have to worry about that. I cry all the time, girl, on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube, because it makes me feel better when I get it out. You know what I mean?
Honestly, I have a couple TikToks. If you were to go onto my TikTok and scroll all the way to the bottom, that very first TikTok that I made is the day that I came home from the hospital
Oh
of
wow, I'll have to
the
go watch it.
2 days day. Yes, it's the very first day, and it's the song with Demi Lovato, "Sober."
Mm-hmm.
It's that song, and I have black eyes, I have bruises all down my wrists, and I just remember walking into my apartment and looking in the mirror that day, and it's like it was yesterday, I can still get that feeling back, and just looking in the mirror, and I was so beat up. and I had a scratch going across my face, bruises, and it's just, who am I anymore? I lost being in that relationship. I lost my sense of self because I I stopped being who I was. I stopped standing up for what I believed in. I stopped having a voice. I wasn't allowed to even talk to my sister on the phone. I wasn't allowed to have family dinners. Um, if I walked too loud, I would get in trouble. I would literally get my ass beat because I was walking too, no, not too loud, too quietly.
Was he
I
like
would
that?
literally get,
Was he like that with other girls too? Was he
oh, I
known
thought
to
you were
be
going to
like
say in the
that?
beginning. The thing is, in the beginning of the relationship, the mother of his kids, he ended up going off to rehab because he relapsed on meth. So I told him if he wanted to have a future, then you need to get sober.
Uh-huh.
And so he went off to rehab, and he cheated on me within the first month. And I thought, okay, well, you didn't think this relationship was going to last. Maybe you'll be, I was making up excuses for him, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I will say the first month before I found out he cheated, I would describe him to people as being absolutely incredible because
Uh-huh.
honestly, he was. He was absolutely incredible. And
That's how they
when
do
they
it.
say if it,
That's how they do it. They gaslight you and they get you to trust them, and then they end up being fucking psychopaths, you know?
yeah, yeah. And honestly, like it got to the point where if I was walking too quiet into the kitchen, I
Yeah.
would literally get my
Same.
ass beat because I wasn't walking loud enough. I was creeping, you know.
Yeah, he
And
probably thought you were trying to do something behind his back or something like that, you know?
well, no, he was doing stuff behind my back because he would be binge eating and he would get high in the middle of the night when I would be sleeping. And he would literally be standing in my freezer with a spoon and a gallon of ice cream. And he would be eating while standing in the freezer, high as all hell, And
Right.
I would wake up because, when somebody moves out of bed, like you notice that it's just an automatic, you wake up. And so I would often wake up in the middle of the night. I'm not a heavy walker. And as soon as I'm waking up, I'm usually rubbing my eyes, and I would peek around the corner because my bedroom was here. You go out and around the corner, fridge is right there. So I would come out of the bedroom and I would see him and I'd be like, "What are you doing?" And then he would turn it around on me, being like, "Well, if you weren't being such a sneak, why do you have to walk so quietly? Why are you creeping on me?" He would turn it to me because it would be my problem then.
Right.
Never mind the fact that he was tripping on shrooms and stuff like that.
You're right.
It was always my fault. But it got to the point that I didn't know who I was anymore. And when I say I escaped from him, I literally escaped from him. The breakup was the worst that you could imagine. Um, he literally threw fire in my car with me in it when I tried breaking up with him. He lit my journal on fire. The pages all burned, and it went on my passenger seat. And so if you look at my passenger seat, you can see some burn marks. And at that point, I threw it out of the window and I started hitting my seat. And then as I'm hitting it, I'm throwing the car in reverse, trying to get out. And I got out. I went to my parents' house. My mom has a license to carry. So she said, if anything, like she will protect herself and she will protect her kids.
Yeah.
I did call the cops not once, but 4 times that day. 4 times. And each time I ended up hanging up before anybody could help me, or he would hang up before, the one time I thought they were actually going to show up because I was driving. I actually had to pull off the side of the road because he grabbed the steering wheel and he yanked it. And so I slammed on my brakes and I pulled off to the side of the road and I called 911 and the operator was asking where we were. And I had no idea where I was. So I was hoping that she'd be able to like GPS me, track
Yeah.
me that way, and I threw my phone all the way in back of the car. Well, at some point we must have gotten disconnected or something. Nobody showed up, nothing. Um, and then after that, I stayed at my parents' house for the next couple days, and I'm still sober at this point. And I did a lot of reflecting that night, and then I also had him blowing up my phone. I had like 57 messages from him. Don't you love me? Thank you for making me become an IV user, because he never used to do the needle. And then he picked it up, and then of course it's my fault because I'm the
Right.
one that put it in his hand, and I'm the one that made him put it in his arm. It's my fault. Um, but he was like, "Oh, you never loved me, because if you loved me, you know." And honestly, one thing led to another, and before I knew it, I'm sitting on my parents' couch being like, "I need an effing drink. I can't deal with this anymore." And instead of having that drink, it was more like a reality, and I knew I had to leave. And at that point, he was living on the streets for the next couple of days, and I guess he went off to rehab. When he went off to rehab, that's when everything became settled, and we were just done. When he got out of rehab, he started sending me flowers and everything, and this and that. And at that point, like I think that's when I really woke up. I think that's when I truly wanted sobriety, because I feel like even after I got out of rehab, like I was working a program and I was sober, but I didn't think I ever really truly had that desire within me. And
Right.
when it came to a higher power, it just was non-existent. Um, it wasn't up until after that relapse that I knew I wanted sobriety, and I worked on it. I worked on it, and I got to 7 months up until I relapsed when my grandparents passed.
Hmm.
And I've been working on the whole higher power thing, because for a while, when I got into my car accident with the semi truck, at that point I had no belief whatsoever. And before the accident happened, I was sitting on River Street exit, or you don't know where that's at, but anyway, um, I was sitting at that traffic light right before River Street exit, and I had this really bad feeling. And I never used to wear my seatbelt, but I put my seatbelt on that day. And the EMS and the cops and everybody said if I wasn't wearing my seatbelt, then there's no chance I would have made it. Um,
So that right there,
I've
that's
been
like a God moment. You know what I'm saying? And like as far as like your higher power, what I always tell people or sponsees I work with is that your higher power could be the universe, nature. It's anything that's greater than you. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? So it doesn't have to be like Jesus Christ or God. It could be, anything that is more power is greater than you. It could be a group of people, because a group of people is more than you are. You know what I mean? But I
Yep.
don't like to put my my trust or belief into a group of people. So like if I didn't pick God, it would be like nature or the universe, because it's just all encompassing.
Yeah, I'm really big on nature. For the longest time, everybody kept on telling me, well, if you don't believe in God, just keep on praying until you do. Pretty
Yeah,
much,
that doesn't work.
So
How are you going to keep on
I
praying
could,
until you do? I mean, some people
I
just don't
could.
have the belief.
It kind of helped me.
It
It
did?
kind of did.
Okay.
Yes, because I I was like, this is stupid. I'm praying to a God that doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
Nobody's listening to me. I'm literally talking to thin air. Like, what is the point of this? I was very pessimistic when it came to the idea of a power greater than myself.
Right.
And then I found out that, oh, hey, it doesn't have to be God as everybody else speaks of. And today I do say God, but it's easier than explaining what my God is.
Right.
Because I do a lot of psychic mediumship. I deal with Archangel Michelangelo,
Mm-hmm.
and I use him as my higher power. So when I say God, I'm talking about the archangels.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Because the psychic mediumship helps me a lot, and it's a gift that I actually got from my grandmother.
Do you
And
like read? What do you mean by psychic mediums? Do you mean like you talk to people that are crossed over to the other side?
yes,
Ooh,
I do
that's
professional paranormal.
easy.
Yeah, I do professional paranormal ghost hunting with USA Ghost Hunts.
Oh,
A
that's
couple
fucking
months
cool.
ago, yeah, a couple months ago, I just went to Pennhurst. Last summer, we did Crescent, Pennsylvania. Um, in Pennhurst, that was the first time that I was actually able to see a spirit. I can hear and I could feel energy, but I've never seen a spirit up until Pennhurst. And that is an experience that I can't even begin to explain. But my grandmother and I, we share that gift. And so I feel like when she passed away, that really hit me because
What
she was
happens when you
my
meet people? Are you like that lady, the Long Island lady
the
who
ghost
like
whisperer.
when she meets
The
people,
ghost
she
whisperer.
like hears people talking to her and like that kind of stuff? Like when you meet people, does that happen to you when you're like overwhelmed by like stuff that something is trying to cross over and tell you about or something like that?
No,
Oh,
it's not like Melinda in the Ghost Whisperer.
yeah.
Although I wish it was. Um, it's more like, well, first I have to channel. Meditation is huge, and I have to get to the right headspace. And if I'm not asking the spirits to come to me, they don't. So I like to do it often when I'm home. I like to do my tarot cards. Um, I love my pendulums. I mess with my spirit box, and I have quite a few things. I do.
That's scary
Uh,
to me. I'm a little scared of that, like where they come through on the spirit box and stuff like that. Like, I would let somebody like do my tarot or something like that, but I kind of get a little nervous because I used to do a lot of meth and I would get so high that I feel like by staying up for so many days and being in psychosis that like opens you up to demonic possession. And I was actually talking about that because I was in psychosis, in a state of psychosis and hallucinations all the time. And it was towards the end of my addiction when I started doing that. So I feel like what was happening is that I was so out there and I had gotten so bad off that whatever was trying, the devil or evil was trying to pull me down and take me away. And I feel like it was able to break through and get inside of me towards the end of my addiction, last 2 years, 3 years of my addiction, because I had gotten to such a vulnerable state and I was so out of
mhm.
connection with my higher power and all that I had finally the demons had broke through. Like they had been trying to get to me for the 15 years I was addicted to meth, and then finally, like the last 2 to 3 years of my sobriety, I was into every time I did meth and I got high, I was in psychosis, and I never used to be like that, never.
The more vulnerable you are, the more open you are to the negative energies. The more vulnerable you are, the more open you are to the negative energies.
Right.
And it's not it doesn't so have to it's not so much demons, but negative energies, negative spirits, spirits that are not rested. I've been verbally threatened by a spirit before. It came over through the spirit box, and I physically needed to be removed by the ghost hunting team because I was being threatened by William in cell block 6. Yes,
Bam. Do you get paid to do that?
no, I actually pay to do it.
Oh, that would be so cool if you could if you started getting paid. That would be awesome.
Yes, it's $189 a ticket to go,
That's still
and
cool though.
some
And do you go?
yeah,
Do they?
some people are like me, and some people are just there for the experience.
Okay.
Some are skeptical about the whole spirit topic, and they're there to see if they could get any evidence. And I've seen some people going in being like, "Oh, there's no way spirits are real," and then they're coming out being like, "I can't believe that happened," because some things are just crazy beyond you can't even explain what happened.
Wow.
Um, but it's definitely an experience, and I feel like that's why I ended up taking my grandmother's death so hard because she was always the one that I could relate to with this. When I was younger, she was helping me with my gift and directing me. And at first it scared me because I had no idea what was going on, you know.
Right.
And my grandmother was like my sponsor in the spiritual world, I guess if you want to call it. So now that she's gone, I just feel like I only have the knowledge that she taught me. And now when I have questions, I just like I have nobody to turn to. But I do get visited by my gram quite often, I will say. And actually yesterday I had a visit from her. And
well, tell me about that. Tell me what happens. Explain that to me.
Okay, so it's little signs. It's little signs, and it's energy. I'm a huge empath, so I can pick up on energy, and it's not even just picking up on energy, but if it's a sad emotion, before you know it, I'll be crying for no reason, and I will just be so overwhelmed with sadness. I can pick up on that spirit sadness, and I'll just start crying, you know.
Yeah.
And I have a sign above my bed, actually. It says, I'm pretty cool, but I cry a lot. And it's so true. I am pretty cool, but I do cry a lot, you know? But that yesterday when that happened, I was on my way home from work, and my job that I have is so I work 2 jobs. One, I'm a server at a steakhouse, and I only work there on Sundays and whatever other days I can work that I'm not over at my other job. My other job is a 5-star platinum club, so like lawyers, judges, doctors, all them. And I do weddings and funerals and just events, whatever it is, you know. Well, we had a party of almost 400 tomorrow, so we had to set up today, and we were going out a half hour away from where I work. It was an off-premise event. So I wanted to sleep over at my parents' house last night to make sure that I would be awake, because I cannot wake up for the life of me. So I get home. Okay, no, let me rewind. So I'm driving home, and I'm listening to Megan Thee Stallion radio station on Pandora. And you know that ratchet ass music, right?
Right, yeah.
And I like to feel, you know, hot girl summer once in a while. I like to feel like a bad bitch.
Me and my son, our favorite song is Big Dick Energy.
Love it.
My son will even sing it with me. You know, he's like, Mom, it's BDE. And I'm like, hell yeah.
I love that. Well, I had Megan playing, and out of nowhere, my Pandora stops, shuts off, and I look down at it, and it's like rebooting to come back up, and it's loading with the blue screen saying Pandora on it. Well, I don't know if you have Pandora, but in order to get a station, you physically have to type in the artist name that you want to hear. And my grandmother's favorite musician was Yanni, and my Pandora comes up, and it's the Yanni station, a station that I don't even have in my playlist.
Excuse me.
And the Yanni station comes up, and her favorite song starts playing. And what is it? Until the last moment, or something like that. I would know it if it played. I'm having a brain fart right now.
No, that's okay.
It's Yanni, and that song started playing, and out of nowhere, like I just had this very warm feeling in my chest, and I just got happy, and I just started smiling, and I felt calm, you know. And out of nowhere, after that, the radio station completely shut off, and my phone itself started resetting. And that right there was just a sign that she was with me, and I felt that energy. You know what I'm saying?
Who else would have put that station on? I want to tell you something that happened to me one time, since we're talking about energy. So my best friend committed suicide when I was probably like 23 or 24. And she was like my best friend. Like, when I was getting out of this really bad abusive relationship, her and her husband let me move in with them, and they paid my car payment and all kinds of shit. Well, she had passed away from shooting herself in the chest. Go outside, baby. And one day I was driving to the dope man's house in my little blue Ford Focus, and the song Bent came on by Matchbox 20, which was her and I's favorite song. And when I tell you, that song came on, and my speedometer said, wee, 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 and the lights in my car were flashing. Like, it was her coming in saying, hey, girl, I'm in the car with you. I hear the song, too. It was like everything went haywire on my dashboard. I got chills, dude, like fucking standing up on the hair standing up. And I was just like, man, there's no way anybody could tell. There's no way. No, I believe 100% that she was there, and she was telling me that she was hearing the song too, because the song came on the radio.
Absolutely. You just gave me whole body chills telling
Yeah.
me that. That
And
was
she died.
definitely her.
She took her own life, but she didn't want to die. You know what I'm saying? She was really depressed. She had gotten into shooting up Oxycontin. This was like right whenever Oxycontin was like being prescribed to everybody. And she was super depressed, and she thought her husband was cheating on her, which he wasn't. And she tried to get a hold of him, and he was at work and he didn't answer, and she shot herself. It was really sad.
Oh my God. I am so sorry. I can't even imagine that.
And
I totally get the not wanting to die, but not wanting to live. You know, the whole not wanting to die, but not wanting. It's not wanting to die, but not wanting to live. It's you don't want to suffer anymore, because sometimes, like, you want to live, but you just don't want to hurt. You know.
Right, I understand. I haven't felt like, the only time I felt like I wanted to take my life is when I was struggling in my addiction. And most of the time it was because I was angry at myself because I knew I was hurting, other people. I was hurting my family, and I was upset with myself because I wasn't getting sober and staying sober,
Yeah.
But anyway.
What was it when I first got out of rehab and I was told about these meetings? I'm sorry, I just completely jumped off subject.
No, you're okay. Go ahead.
When I first was told about the meetings, I went up to the meeting, and it was in Kirby Park. It was a nice meeting outside, and I walked up looking like a lost puppy, and there was one guy standing underneath the pavilion, and obviously I won't say his name, but he was standing underneath the pavilion. And I was like, is this the meeting? I didn't even want to say AA because I felt like I was embarrassed. For a while, I actually hid my car because I didn't want people to see my car at an AA meeting.
Yeah.
So I walked up, and he goes saying, you're at the right spot. I introduced myself, this and that. And then he handed me the 9 step promises. And I will say to this day, that is my favorite thing to read.
Yeah.
Even when I pray, I include the 9 step promises. And when I was talking about the whole higher power thing, I never had a higher power up until maybe last week. And it's not even last week. It was, okay, so when you get to that point where you're praying to something, but you still have that little bit of doubt in your heart?
Yeah.
That's where I was at. And I had court last Wednesday because I know I was driving like a maniac, but I was driving 124 miles an hour and flew past the state troopers. Listen, I was being chased by a whole psycho that I met on a dating app, but we're not going there. And I was being chased by this person. And,
damn.
Yeah. So as the cop pulled me over, I had one handcuff still on my wrist because I broke away from the table leg where I was attached to. I was missing one shoe. And I said to the cop, I'm like, listen, I'm being chased. There's no justification. I know I shouldn't have been driving like that. I normally never do because I am responsible when I drive. But I was trying to get out of the situation. And I told him what happened. And then seconds later, this car goes flying past, and this is who was chasing me. And I said, there he is. He's right there, Yeah. And it wasn't even supposed to be anything romantic. It wasn't supposed to be anything along those lines, you know. And it was somebody that I was bullshitting with for a while, and he seemed like a good guy. I thought we were going to be great friends, actually. And then
Mm-hmm.
it turns out when I meet him, he had a whole different name, you know.
Damn.
But it wasn't up until my court hearing that I actually got the sense of today I truly do have a power greater than me. I don't
Yeah.
have that little bit of doubt in me anymore because I showed up to the courtroom an hour away from where I'm at, and I made the drive and everything. I wanted to show the judge that I am a good person and I was going to fight for my license because he got me with speeding, reckless driving, and driving with careless intent. I was
Yeah.
facing a minimum of a year and a half license suspension on top of fines and probably driving classes. And I was just praying and praying, please let me keep my license. And on the way up to the court, I had an hour to sit in my thoughts and just pray. And I prayed the entire time up there. I don't know if you know the song. It's called Hallelujah by Pentatonics. It is
Yeah.
one of my it's one of my favorite songs. I must have listened to that song probably about 5 or 6 times on the way up. I was crying off and on because I was so scared. I actually pulled over once to throw up because of my nerves. And I get there, and my cop never showed up, and all charges were dismissed. And
Oh, that's awesome.
at that point, I know there's a God, you know, because he was with me that day. There was no way I should have gotten out of that, and I am so grateful that I did because I have
Yeah,
my
for
license today,
real.
and I should not have my license right now. So it's something that I'm not going to take for granted.
Yeah. That's amazing. That you're really fortunate, girl.
I am. I am. That day, I've never prayed more in my life. It was nothing but thank you so much, you know. And when the judge said, "Okay, not guilty, charges dropped," I kind of just stood there and I was like, "Wait, what?" And my lawyer was like, "I'll explain everything to you outside. Let's go." And as we're going outside, I said to him, I was like, "No, I heard him, but I can't believe it because I was expecting at least something, you know, absolutely nothing." And afterwards, I went out and I found a state park that wasn't too far away from the courthouse. And I went on a little nature hike by myself and I just sat on a rock and I thanked God. And I stayed there for a good hour, just sitting there thinking, reflecting, being grateful, crying. You know, that day is the
Hold
day
on.
that my
I
belief.
know who this is. Oh, Vash. Sorry. It's why is he doing
No,
that?
you're perfect.
Tell him to go away. Sorry. Tell
Just
him to
go
no. Tell
away.
him no. Sorry. One of Nate's friend keeps on ringing the bell and then leaving. You know what I mean? It drives me insane. Sorry.
You're perfect. You're
We got a
good.
lot going on over here tonight.
Listen, at least you have a full house.
Yeah.
I go home to be alone every night. So, I mean, I have 2 cats.
I know what you mean
And
though. When you're living by yourself, it's peaceful, but then also it's nice to be able to have like, I don't know, voices in the house, like it's soothing, you know?
yeah, but it's not even that because I do like my alone time. The thought of sharing my alone time with somebody, babe, where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing? Getting out of work, wanting to talk. I get out of work. I work 10 days a week.
Uh-huh.
Like that's what I like. That's what I like to say because I'm lucky to have a day off every 2 weeks, and I'm honestly exhausted 24/7. And at the end of the day, sometimes it would be nice to be like, "Hey, babe, how was your day?" You know,
Yeah.
or maybe even a back rub because my back is killing me. Um, but for the most part, I'm okay on my own. I love my peace and the tranquility of it. I don't know. I think I've gotten a little too comfortable being on my own because I've been single well, I had a little fling a couple months back that lasted like maybe 2 months, but I don't even count that as a relationship. So I've been single for about a year and a half now, give or take. And I think I've gotten a little too comfortable with my own peace. But this is the first time that I'm actually taking my sobriety.
Serious. Yep.
Yes, because I'm not distracted and I don't have anybody else that I'm putting my time or attention or money on. And my money is mine, my time is mine, and my focus is on me, And I just feel like every single time I relapse, I'm always with somebody and it's true because every time I have relapsed, I've always been with somebody.
Yeah.
But this time around, I've been selfish throughout my addiction so much. It's time for me to be selfish today and put my sobriety first. And when they said no dating or sex the first year of recovery, I'm like, yeah, okay. That sounds like a load of bullshit. I learned the hard way. And now, I mean, I'm okay. Like, I have a lot of friends that I talk to, and I'm not talking about like those kind of friends, like
Right.
strictly platonic. I have a lot of friends that I am strictly platonic with, and who knows? Like, if something happens, then it's meant to happen. But if it doesn't, then it doesn't. I'm not pushing anything, especially because I still have another 4 months to go. So my top priority is not a relationship. If something happens down the line, then great, so be it. But it's not where my head is at right now. I just want to make my money and work on my sobriety.
Yeah.
And I have been missing a lot of meetings lately because I do work a lot.
Uh-oh. Let me just tell you something, okay? Listen to me. I did the same thing and I relapsed. So I'm a workaholic. And so when I get a job, I get promoted really fast and I'll get like management right away. And so every time I've ever relapsed, I was actually looking back on it because I made this series on my YouTube channel called Tales of a Chronic Relapser. Every time that I've ever relapsed, I will get a good job. I'll be making money. I'll be feeling good about myself. My confidence will come back. And slowly but surely, I'll stop doing what I did at the beginning to stay sober. I'll stop going to meetings, or I'll start skipping. I'll kind of lay off on calling my sponsor. And every single time I've done that, it brings me back to getting fucking high. Every single time.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to watch out for.
I'm telling you, girl.
That's the difference today. At least I'm aware of it. I actually went to a meeting yesterday, and I try to go every other day at least. So I want to.
What?
Did I have some?
No, I was itching my face.
Oh,
no,
you did that. Fine. I thought you were trying to give me like a subliminal message.
Sorry.
No, you're good. But I actually went to a meeting yesterday, and I did share about it today because I usually make maybe like 4 meetings a week. And if I can, I'll make more. But I used to be going every day, sometimes twice a day,
Yeah.
But now that I'm working constantly, by the time I get home, the last thing I want to do is put my bra back on and have to go to a meeting.
Well, what you should do now that you're working so much is like get with your sponsor and make a schedule of meetings you can go to that is more obtainable now. So like if you're working so many hours, say, okay, I'm going to make sure that I go to at least 2 meetings a week, one at the beginning of the week and one at the end of the week. So that way I start my week off right and I wrap my week up right. You know what I mean? And maybe just up your calls to your sponsor and do like online meetings when the times that you can't go to an in-person meeting,
I will say I see my sponsor once a week, and it's normally on Wednesday. And this past week had to be canceled because of a death. But next week I will be seeing her, and I do try texting her a lot. I try to stay in touch, not as often as I probably should, but what helps me is constantly being busy. And I also work with people in sobriety at my one job at not the steakhouse, the 5-star club.
Place.
Huh?
The ghost hunting place?
No, that's not my job.
Okay.
The 5-star platinum club that I work at.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple people in sobriety that I work with there. So like it's nice, just like my previous job. Even if I'm there, I still have people to talk to.
Yeah.
And there's times that even over at my other job at the steakhouse, I've had to be like, listen, I gotta go take a step outside. I need to make a phone call. And I would either call my sponsor or my AA mom because they're the first two people I usually call.
Yeah.
And so that definitely helps me a lot. And I will say, I tried Zoom as much. You want to know what they helped me with? They
What?
helped me to fall asleep.
Because you're not
They
in
helped me.
person where people can see you. You know what I like to do? Instead of doing a Zoom meeting, I'll pop on a speaker meeting on YouTube. I'll Google AA speaker meetings or NA speaker meetings, and I'll put my earphones in and just lay down and fall asleep to somebody telling their story.
I've actually done that before in the past
Mm-hmm.
because my ex did that. And so I was like, well, I'll give that a try, you know. But I didn't like it because going to sleep, I do a guided sleep meditation.
Okay.
So it took away from my meditating. And I felt myself losing out on more spiritual than anything. And honestly, when I was listening to the speaker meetings, it was just like it would go in one ear and out the other,
Uh-huh.
you know. So I do like my guided sleep meditations that I listen to, and that is on YouTube. And that's actually how I learned to meditate.
Uh-huh.
And now I can meditate and I could ground myself. And I could be sitting on my rock right with the waterfall above me and getting a little splash of mist on my face within seconds, you know, because that is my grounding. That's where I ground myself. I'm always on that rock and there's a waterfall above me. And as the water's coming down, I get the backlash of the mist. And that's where I could ground.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, I like doing that. And it's been helping me a lot. You know, it has been. But I will say, they say that you don't see the change in yourself, but you could see it in other people. It's taken me a long time, but I can see the change in myself slowly. I can see little things that I do differently. Like this court hearing in the past, I would have made a Facebook status being like, haha, got out of it. You
Right.
know, because that's what I would have been. This time around, it was like, thank you, God. I'm so grateful. You know, I know I did wrong. And now I need to prove that I am truly apologetic by living the right way, you know?
Yeah.
And just that alone, I could see the growth and the change in myself. And today I have that pause button. Today we're practicing patience. Listen, I have this coworker last week. You don't touch my Red Bull, okay?
Oh, yeah.
I've been I have been on a tangent about this for about now it wasn't last week, it was the week prior. So for about 2 weeks now, I've been on a tangent about this. About 2 weeks ago, he decided to take it upon himself to give my unopened can of Red Bull to one of the maintenance guys because he was thirsty. So when I went to go grab my Red Bull, I said, "Where's my Red Bull?" And he told me, "Oh, I thought you went home." Okay, so either way, you don't touch something that doesn't belong to you, you know?
Right.
So I did not learn how to breathe that day. I did not know how to take a step back because that pissed me off to the ultimate extreme. And I did go off on him. And I think that was the first time that my coworkers actually seen the bad vibe of me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, you don't effing touch my Red Bull. If it's not effing yours, you don't effing touch. Like, if I said the F word more times in that day than I did probably the last couple months, because I'm not a big cursor, you know. Um, so that day he ended up giving it away, and then the other day I just opened a can, took a couple sips out of it, he threw it away on me, and so that really pissed me off. And
Yeah.
instead of snapping like I did the first time, I said, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm going home. I was clocking out. It was that time, you know? So I clocked out and I went into the car and then I made this huge Snapchat rant about my coworker because if I didn't do it on Snapchat, he was going to get a whole mouthful. But I do see the difference in that because any other time, if you upset me, I'm gonna make sure you know, and I'm gonna make your life a living hell because I was very vindictive. You
Right.
know, I could get. I used to be a really shitty person. I was, and I will own up to that any day. I've done some nasty things to some good people, willingly, knowing what I was doing, even while sober, and I just didn't care. Um, that's not me today. I could honestly, genuinely say that I know I'm a good person and I truly do care. My manager the other day just told me that when she sees me, her days get brighter and I make her days better. And then my coworker told me that same day, 2 hours later, that whenever she sees me here, she gets excited because she knows that the shift is going to be exciting and eventful because I'm
Heck
here.
yeah, we're the life of the party, girl, even when we're sober. You
that
know?
that makes yes, that makes me very happy because like people actually enjoy being around me. All this time when I was in high school wishing I was a pretty skinny girl and
Yep.
then I became that, I thought I would have to be on drugs and alcohol for people to like me. And now that I'm sober, I have genuine friends today that actually want to be around me and not for what I have.
Right.
And it's a really good feeling. It's a good feeling because the other day, like I said, I just celebrated 8 months. And as much as it's a great thing, it's also a reminder that my grandparents have been gone for 8 months. So I have a little mixed feeling on my celebration day. It's a
Yeah.
good day, but it's also a reminder at the same time. And I made a Facebook status saying 8 months. And then after that, I made another status later on that night because I was really missing my grandparents. But the 8 month sobriety status, I have like 55, 60 people that like and all the comments was just like, I'm sorry, let me decline this real quick.
All right.
Um, all of the all of the likes and the comments and everything, it really makes you or makes me see in a larger aspect that I have a lot of people supporting me.
Yeah.
I only have people on my I only have people on my Facebook that I actually know in real life. I surround myself with good people these days. If you're toxic, I want nothing to do with you. And I'm surrounded by good today. And everybody on my Facebook, all those comments, it makes me realize like I have a lot of people on my side today that genuinely give a shit about me. And that's huge because that's something that I never had.
Yeah.
And earlier in the week, I was at Turkey Hill and I ran into somebody and they're like, "Hey, Red, what's up?" And right there, I didn't even know who this person was, honestly. I have no idea who it is, but I must have partied with them at some point in time. And I was talking to them, acting like I remembered them, but I knew that they weren't a part of my life these days because they called me Red. That girl doesn't exist anymore. You
Yeah.
know, like, hey, it's Red. Red's back, bitches. That used to be me,
Yeah.
but that's not me. Like today, after I got out of rehab, I would be like, A. I wouldn't even say hi. I would say A-Y-E. I'd be like, hey, it's Red. I'm in recovery. That's how I would introduce myself.
Uh-huh.
And then about 3-4 months into recovery, I changed it to being, hey, hello, Jessica, and that's when I changed. And then just Red died. Like she doesn't live here no more.
That's right, girl. That's right. You got a
Actually,
new
no,
life.
she does.
You have a new lease on life now.
Yep. Don't get me wrong. She does still live here. Let me turn off my volume because
She's
this
in
got
there
really quiet
still.
on
If
me.
you wake her up, she could come back alive and then fuck up. But
Easy.
she's not going to do that because she's staying in remission. I think it's
Yeah.
like it's kind of like when a person gets diagnosed with like cancer or something else like that they can have chemo and then it can get cured and it stays in remission. Our disease of addiction is in remission right now because we're getting our treatment. We're taking our treatment, which is our chemo, which is, our meetings and our higher power and all that. And so we are keeping our
The
disease
moment
in
we go
remission
back
by
out,
doing that.
that person comes back.
Yeah. You've done really good. You did really good tonight. I'm really freaking proud of you. And your story is so amazing. Like, you're a very strong woman. I would really like to have you on again, maybe one time, so we could talk about, because I love doing this. I love telling story times about the crazy, stupid things I did when I was in active addiction. And I would love to have you on in the future. I'm thinking about putting together like a series with other people where I have different guests on. And since you said you relapsed before, we could tell stories about the times we relapsed and why we think we relapsed. And I want to have like 10 people on. And I want it to be like
I
short.
would totally be down for that.
I want it to be like short stories, but it's going to be all in one video. And so it's going to be like Tales of Chronic Relapsers Part 2. And only it's going to be with you guys telling your stories about chronically relapsing instead of me telling my stories about doing it.
I love that.
It's fun too. And I love to do it because I love to laugh.
What was that?
I love hearing other people's stories about relapsing because I like to laugh, because it always makes me realize how crazy we are when we get fucked up and the things we will do. You know what I'm saying?
The things that we do is just what you said. It's crazy to think back who I am as a sober person compared to who I become the moment I put a drop of liquor or a drug in my body. It's crazy to see the Jekyll and Hyde. I'm vicious when I'm under the influence. I am a nasty person. But when I'm sober, I'm a good person to have in your life, and I know that. I would do anything for the people in my life today. And I have those people in my life as well. So thank you so much for having me on
You're
here.
welcome, girl.
I was super nervous at first.
Don't be nervous. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get off of here and download this video onto my YouTube channel. And then when I do it, I'll send you the link. So that way you can share it with all your friends. And I'm going to post it on Facebook on all my pages. And I'm sure Barbie will share it all around too. And so you'll be seen. Everybody's going to know. Everybody's going to hear your story. So yay. And if you will, please.
That is super exciting.
Text me all the links to all your social medias. Text me the link to your TikTok, your Facebook, because what I will do is I will provide those links in the description of your video. So that way, if people want to find you and follow you, they can, okay?
Okay, that's super cool. I have to figure out how to find the link to my
What
pages.
you'll do is you'll go to your profile and then you'll go to settings and there'll be a spot that says share or copy link. And you just do that. Here on TikTok, you go to the top 3 lines, you go to privacy, and then it'll go down and it'll say share link. Okay?
Okay. So as soon as we get off here, I'm going to do that so that way you have them. And I don't know. I'm looking forward to coming back.
I really appreciate you.
4 months.
I'm proud of you, girl.
4 months when I hit that 1 year.
When you hit I'll probably talk to you before then about the chronic relapsing videos, but when you hit your year, make sure you or Barbie text me so that way we can have you on for your year-long anniversary, okay?
I'm so excited for that. My short-term goal is to just chair a meeting.
You're going to be there. You're going to make it to there and probably a lot more than that. So I love you so much. And I'm going to sign off and get this link out to everybody. And I'll text you after I get off here, okay?
Okay, you have a beautiful soul. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, Jessica. I love you, girl. Congratulations on 8 months.
I'm proud of you. Thank you.
Thanks, girl. Bye.
Have a great night.
Okay, guys. Love you.
I'm going to get this video downloaded real quick so I can get it out on Facebook. Give me about 5 minutes. I need to go potty, and then I'll come back on and we'll talk all about Jessica's story, and we'll talk about, the comparison of how our stories are similar, because she also struggled with her weight as a young girl. So just give me like 5 minutes so I can go potty and share this video around, and then I'll be back on a live stream. Okay? All right. Love y'all.